Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lloyd Adkins. I represent Group 1 Team USA in the federal government, and this will be my presentation on expert testimonial.
Would you rise and state your name, please, and we will begin with the questioning.
Thank you very much for having me, sir. My name is Lloyd Adkins. I'm an expert witness called before the stand, and I'm here to give my expert testimonial as to the cyber incident that took place in the United Kingdom during the Global Economic Summit and the Five Eye Nations and how it impacted us.
Thank you, Mr. Adkins. What are the legal challenges associated with cyber incidents involving foreign countries, and how do internal laws affect e-discovery?
Thank you for the question, sir. First, we must know what it is meant by the word cyber. We must narrow the scope of this and use like terms. In the United States judicial system, preservation to liberty, due process, the right to fair trial, and innocent until proven guilty are paramount. In the United States, we will only be involved if these core values are upheld in the court of law. If a U.S. citizen is involved, the United States will only interject if the previous rights were not met. Secondly, the term cyber incident can mean different things. This means that cyber, software, hardware, or information was altered or affected or changed by someone without proper permission from someone with malicious intent. Third, foreign countries must be examined to see how the United States interacts with these nation states, and if something may arise when dealing with any of these countries. The legal challenges would be how the incident was discovered. The agreement that the due process of the individuals will be upheld even though not all countries believe an innocent until proven guilty was assured. If the incident in the United States court of law, then these laws will be followed, as I indicated before. It is crucial that the Five Eyes relationship is interconnected in many ways, in that the cyber world enhances this because the cyber world is an interwoven community. The cyber attack has affected all members of the Five Eyes nations. These nations are Australia, New Zealand, Canada, United Kingdom, and of course the United States. The United States has open dialogue with all of these countries about international laws going forward to maintain the relationship, and with the understanding that these proceedings will affect each country that is involved. Now, as to your question about e-discovery, it is vital for these conversations to be held on a regular basis so that the chain of custody and what is meant by maintaining the chain of custody is maintained. This can be upheld by all the nation states that have different legal processes and different legal systems in order for e-discovery to maintain its purpose and its system integrity. This needs to be the same for all members of the Five Eye nations.
Thank you, Mr. Adkins. So what are the legal challenges of accessing and retrieving electronic evidence stored on foreign soil? Assuming cloud storage was used, what procedures were followed to access and retrieve digital evidence stored in the cloud?
Yes, sir. This will depend on the data and where it is stored. If it is stored on a global source like the Google database in Europe, this can be accessed via a content distribution network, or a CDN. However, there are issues that will arise when the data is confidential. Cloud storage does present a new issue for cyber investigators. Before the invention of the cloud, digital forensics evidence was only stored on one device or a small group of devices. Now, with the cloud being cheaper and easier for companies with multiple locations as well as globally located, evidence can be found on multiple machines and containerized applications and on different cloud platforms. However, despite the new challenges of understanding this new device and technology and how the information can be stored, the cloud service providers have limited access to the machines to only one user or a host of users. This makes the forensics investigations of evidence like how it used to be before the cloud. The challenge is that the rise of cloud storage, with the rise of cloud storage, it has dramatically increased and elongated the forensics investigation process.
Then how did the international laws and jurisdictions influence the process and procedures followed during the forensic investigation?
Yes, sir. Multiple source IP addresses were found during the investigation to trace back to foreign countries. The U.S. and other foreign countries do not allow access to their database for evidence. We reached out for a mutual legal assistance treaty, or MLAT. This would allow us to have an agreement between two or more nations for the purpose of gathering data and exchanging information to enforce public or criminal laws. The issue that came up and the big challenge that we faced while trying to use the MLATs was that it was a long process and could take up to 10 months to officially legalize this treaty, and then we would be able to gather information and data from these foreign databases. The information that we do have was obtained by the United States on United States equipment, and thus we believe we have enough information to go ahead with our legal proceedings.
What conflicts arose between ethics and international laws during the forensic investigations, and how did these conflicts affect the investigations? How were the conflicts mitigated or resolved?
Yes, sir. Ethics is one of the most important areas to focus on when you are dealing with other countries and nation states, and especially international laws. Questions that we found ourselves asking are, do we follow these rules of host nation, or can we use the policies and regulations that we know will work in our country for our country if we are behind closed doors? After taking time, the team and I decided that we would do the latter. We would possibly bring about a major issue and also jeopardize the relationship between us and other nations if we did our own thing without consulting the host nation. Thus, we decided to participate in the multilateral investigation. We set up our own network and met all the requirements of the host nation, and it also satisfied our United States protocols and standards as well. During this time, the United States conducted zero intelligence gathering activities and did not participate in any covert cyber operations into our allies. Doing so would jeopardize the investigation, the network, and break the trust that we have with our allies. The actions that we did take were necessary for the forensic steps and were taken as a way to move forward with the investigation, and the information captured and received was again on our own equipment.
Mr. Adkins, what steps were taken to protect the United States soil and citizens during the international investigation?
Actually, no additional steps were taken to protect the U.S. soil or citizens. The attack that took place was at the summit of on the Five Eyes group. It was isolated and contained to a small group, and the group was that of human resources and, of course, the initially affected computer that allowed the virus in. This did not take effect on U.S. soil, nor did it have any effect on U.S. citizens. However, had the attack had been here and had a far-reaching effect on a larger group, the United States and its protective agencies, the DHS, the FBI, the CIA, the DOD, would band together and stop the attack and eradicate it. If the attack affected citizens or their property overseas, the CIA or the State Department would order the citizens to take special actions against the attack and potentially mitigate any further spread of the attack.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adkins, for your testimony. Our time has expired today, and we will be adjourning. You may take a seat.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.